difference between about 4% interest rate and an 8% interest rate on a home loan. What that means when it comes down to the house payment on that $250,000 loan is about a difference of $600 a month just in principal and interest. Okay, that's going to add up over a 30-year mortgage. That's over $216,000. If you were to take that $600 difference and invest it in something instead of pay it towards interest, you would make well over $1 million. Same thing with a car loan, same thing with credit cards. But other things that people don't think about is how many times do you go in to an apartment to get a new cell phone, to hook up utilities, and you're being charged unreasonable deposits because of your interest. Even insurance these days, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, a lot of these insurance companies are driving their rates based on credit. So those, the stress of having bad credit, going in to apply for something and not knowing whether or not you're going to get approved for it or not. So, it's amazing the different aspects of your life that credit is going to impact. Okay. I want to don't think about credit. A lot of people say, well, you know what, you've got collection items on there, you got late payments, you got charge-offs, just pay it and move on and it'll fix it. The worst thing that you want to do is pay an old collection account. Okay. First thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that it's validated. You want to make sure that it's within the statute of limitations. You want to make sure it's within the obsolescence period. That statute of limitations date, it varies according to state. I'm more than happy to talk to you individually and work through that to make sure that you understand what the statute of limitations in your area is. But paying off an account or paying off a collection account in particular will not help your credit score. It's the presence of that collection item that's bringing your scores down. Balance is inconsequential. Okay. The other major item that impacts your credit score is what's called credit utilization ratio. Now, a lot of you folks that are on the road, you're going to use your credit cards a lot for fuel and things like that while you're on the road. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the balance that you carry on that credit card in relationship to the credit card limit is called your credit utilization ratio, and that makes up about a third of your credit score. So one of the things that I teach a lot of my clients is if you will just call the credit card company, find out what day of the month they report to the bureaus, and make your payment about 4 days prior to that report date, you're actually manipulating the dollar amount that's being reported to the bureaus. And by doing that, you're manipulating your credit score. Okay? The way the scoring model works is you want that balance when it reports to the credit bureau to be as low as possible, but above zero. You don't want that credit card to report a zero balance. You want it to report a $20 balance or a $50 balance, whatever, as long as it is below 10% of the credit limit. Okay? Just by doing that one thing, it's possible to change your credit score, to increase your credit score by anywhere from 20 to 60 points. And that's pretty significant, especially when you're getting ready to make some type of major purchase. Now, a lot of you folks out there are looking at building your business, building your brand, and going further. And so that's why it's so important to take control of your credit, so that, when you go in there to buy that next rig, or when you go in there to, improve your business, expand your business, whatever, you're getting the best possible rates. Because just like with a home mortgage, some of these rigs that you guys are driving are pretty darn expensive. And if you're getting a difference of, 2, 3, 4% on the interest rate on it, that's really hitting onto your margin and impacting your bottom line. So we want to make sure that you have the best possible rate when you go in there. So Omega Credit Repair has been a referral-only company for over 14 years. We believe in financial literacy. We believe in helping people to create a...
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Dishman. Yeah, the only other caveat that I would add to your presentation is when you talked about the utilization on your credit card, you're talking specifically about a personal credit card. Is that correct? And you're not talking about like if you have a credit card that's actually in your business name. And I would like to add too, employment is another way. People with bad credit, I see it all the time. A lot of these military guys, they get themselves in position to get into a nice government job, and they figure that they're gonna get in just based off of what they've done, their military experience, and then it pops up. They got to do a credit check, and the government will tell you that you got bad credit. You probably shouldn't have access to the government secrets if you owe money, if you can't manage your money. But my question to you is, could you tell me, there's been a lot of rumblings around here lately about this new FICO score. Is there such a thing? And is that something that's just recently happened? And can you tell me what the difference is between, you kind of touched on it earlier, but if you could tell me the difference between a 550 or a 750 as it pertains to going to purchase a home or a car, and
Okay, awesome. I'm going to touch on a few of the things that you brought up there. First of all, I am an Army veteran, so I do take that very personally, very seriously. Nothing irritates me more than remembering when I would drive off the base at Fort Bragg and see all those payday lenders and pawn shops and everyone that was just preying on the military. We deal with a lot of people who are trying to get a security clearance and are trying to qualify for some type of promotion or security clearance for their job. And so, yeah, your credit score definitely impacts that. Now, as a small business owner, as a independent contractor, a lot of times when you open up that business credit card, they ask you to do what's called a personal guarantee. So if you have a credit card that is in the name of a huge corporation, or if your business has been around for over 6-7 years, it's possible that you can get that credit card only in the name of the company. But most companies just starting out, when they get that business credit card, it's going to be personally secured, and that business credit card will still report on your credit report. So any missteps by the company will also impact your personal credit score. Okay. The next thing that I think that you talked about is the difference between a 550 and a 750 credit score. When you're looking at a home loan, we talked about the difference between right now the interest rate that you would get at about a 750 would be about 4% versus at 550 you're looking at about 8%. That means about $600. For an auto loan, basically you're looking at the difference between about a 4.5-5% APR, while someone with a 550 is probably looking at a 13.9, 14.9 deal. And so that's a pretty significant difference. And something to remember about cars, and this is something that just, a lot of folks, especially young folks, right out of high school, right out of they get that first guaranteed payment from their military service or their first real job, and they go out and buy some, Mustang or Camaro that they really can't afford. And here's what I would challenge, and this is what I did with my two kids. Is first of all, whatever they saved for that first car, I would match, and then they had to go find something that pay cash for it. Okay, if you think that you can afford a $400 a month car payment, do that. Make that payment into a savings account for 1 year. If you don't miss any payments at all, then at the end of that year, you're going to have $4,800 plus the trade-in on whatever the car value was that you paid cash for. You do that again for another year. Now your car that you're traded in is worth about $4,000, and you've got another $4,800. So now you're buying a car for $9,800. You do that again for another year. Inside of 4 years, now you're paying $25,000 for a car, but you're doing it cash. You're never paying interest, and you're staying ahead of these car manufacturers. They don't always make money off of the car. What they make money off of is the interest. Okay, so these monthly payments, and so the importance of using your money smart, using it wisely, and that car is not your identity. Okay, and so people need to get past that and understand that the car is just a means of transportation. Now, that's going to be different when you're using a vehicle for work. Obviously, you need something that can do the job, and that is, if we're looking at a big rig, or if we're looking at something, for your hauling, for your trucking business, that you're going to have a loan for that. Okay, so you need to position yourself wisely so that you can get the best interest rate. And the biggest impact to that is going to be credit utilization ratio. And that if you are a personal guarantor on your business credit card, that will impact your personal credit.
All right, Mr. David, appreciate you going back over that again. One thing you said when we got started, on the credit card utilization, we were talking about that, and you said the way the tip that you gave was you said you wait, 4 days before it hits the credit bureau? Now, what me and my wife are doing is that we make sure that after we've went and used it, right, we charge something up, and then, say you got a $6,000 limit, but you only charge a $500, whatever you want to buy, whatever, or getting something for the car, whatever, but you got the cash on hand, and we wait, I wait until it actually hits my report. Once it hits my statement, right, then I go ahead and pay it before my bills due. So therefore, I'm not paying the interest on it. Right after there's a cutoff date. We have to hit that cutoff date of my statement, right? Everything goes on there after this date. Then I go ahead and pay it. So we're beating that interest. So now, is there a difference between the way that you were talking about and the way that we're doing it? Let me know.
Outstanding. Great question. So here's the deal, is that your credit card, even though your statement changes depending on what you're buying and such as that, the credit card itself will only report to the bureaus 1 day per month. So if you run the credit card up, you run the credit card down, you pay it off, you charge on it, you pay it off. No, the bureau is never going to know anything other than what is reported on that 1 day per month. The rest of the activity is irrelevant, does not matter at all. Okay, so the issue is that you could have two Capital One credit cards in your wallet. One of them reports on the 5th, the other one reports on the 13th. Okay, the reason I say to call the credit card company, find out what day of the month they report, is because that report date is going to be different for every single credit card. And that report date is the only date that matters when it comes to the balance of your credit card and what's being reported to the bureaus. Okay, so and that report date is going to be different than the statement due date or the statement cutoff date, the payment due date. It's the day that company, be it Bank of America, Capital One, First Progress, whoever your credit card is through, that report date is going to be different. And so you need to contact them and say, okay, what day of the month do you actually transmit data to the bureaus on this particular card? And they'll tell you that. Now, the reason I say to make the payment 4 or 5 days prior to that report date is because if anyone who has ever made a payment online knows that as soon as you make the payment, it says, thank you very much for your payment. Please allow 4 days for this to post to your account. You want to make sure that that payment has cleared prior to the report date so that when it reports to the bureaus, it's reporting the lowest possible balance. Now, in your situation, if you got a $6,000 credit limit and you run up a $500 bill, okay, that's awesome. You're below the 10%, okay, because 10% of a $6,000 limit is $600. So you don't want your balance to be more than $600, okay? If you pay that off, that's awesome. But on the report date, you need for that balance to be at least $10. Okay? Anywhere between 1% and 10% of the credit limit is where you want to be on the report date. Okay? If you pay it off prior to the, as long as you pay that prior to the report date, again, after the report date, you can pay it off in full, doesn't matter. You can max it out, doesn't matter. I don't recommend that, but you can. Okay, because the only day that balance matters is on that report date.
Awesome. Now, also, but I mean, when you're looking at that, when you look at that at actually doing that, they offered us. Now, I want to know if it's a good idea because I know is it important how many cards you have, how many accounts you have. I have 4. In my name, I have 2 of them with Capital One. I called Capital One, and I wanted them to consolidate one into their biggest one that that gives us a lot more benefits and travel points, things like that, right? So we're consolidating one. My wife has 2. I want her to stay over in her name, right? But then on my company, I have 2. Should I consolidate the 2, or should I keep them? I mean, should I leave them all separated? And just try to get one date? Can I request a date for them to report so then we can be on one accord? So I have all these different days because I try to rotate those cards.
Yeah, and before you get in there, we got a person in the room who has a credit card. It's a high interest credit card. He's had it for 2 years. It's paying they charging him $7 a month, and I think the interest rate is 20-something%. He's wanting to know whether he should go ahead and cancel it. He wants to get rid of it. So in that situation, what would you instruct him to do?
Okay, so let me address both those issues. First of all, on the credit cards that you have, they will not let you choose the date that they report to the bureaus. It's just set up on a cycle. So you got to call on each card individually and find out when they report. How many cards you have, you need at least one, and you're right to have one in your wife's name. No more than, you really don't need more than 2. And I always recommend just a regular MasterCard, Visa, Discover, something like that. These credit cards that you get at a department store, Best Buy, Victoria's Secret, wherever, I'm not a fan of those because in order to keep them active, you got to go back to Best Buy and buy something else, and just how many DVD players could you possibly use? Okay, so don't get caught up by the department store credit cards. Just a regular MasterCard, Visa. Again, find out what the report date is. If you've got 2 for you, 2 for your wife, 2 for your business, that's, as long as you can control that, keep that in some type of spreadsheet so that you make sure that you're making the payments, consistently and on time, and keeping the balance as low as possible, but above zero, you're going to be in good shape. Okay. Now, as far as, canceling a credit card, the point of the credit card that you got was to help to rebuild your scores, I'm guessing, or it was I got to have a credit card and this is the one that I can get right now. So I'll suck it up. I'll pay the $7 a month. And, if I've seen them as high as, 29% interest. Which should be usury, but that's a conversation for another day. So what do I do? Well, you got to walk before you can run. And so if you have used that card long enough to where it has helped to reestablish your credit, go into where you normally bank. Do not try this with Chase or Bank of America. Chase and Bank of America are really bad at offering secured credit cards, or if you've had any dings on your credit at all, they're really difficult to get a new credit card with. Capital One is usually pretty good. Wells Fargo is usually pretty good. Any of your local banking establishments, credit unions are typically pretty good. And once you've had that for a while, then you can go in there and try and get a new card, okay? Typically, I do not recommend closing an account, but if you're having to pay $7 a month, once you've paid the balance off, go ahead and close that account. The reason that we don't want to close old accounts, this being the exception to the rule, is because part of your credit score is based on how long you have been active in the system. So the older the trade line that you have, the longer you've had it, the more of a positive impact it has on your credit score. Okay. In this particular case, if you're paying $7 a month, that's $84 a year, that you're just pissing away for the privilege of paying them interest. And I'm just not a big fan of that. So use it for the limited time that you have to help reestablish your scores and help you to get back to where you can qualify for a card.
Okay, so now, but there was one part you was waiting to hear. I didn't hear. This is still Big C, and I do agree. I don't like the department store cards. We don't have those. We have the Chase and the Discover and the 2 Capital Ones, and about to get a Wells Fargo. But because the thing I was asking about was the consolidation. Should I join my 2 Capital Ones? Is that's going to start my life over? Correct. That's going to start the term that I've had that card over. Now my 2 balances will be joined, but there's hardly anything on them. But still, that's going to hurt. That's going to hurt my trade line. Am I correct about that? And now, and also Costco is okay though, because Costco, I think right now is Citibank right now. So I think that one's okay to have. It's not a department store card.
Okay, yeah, on your Costco card, because you're using that for groceries, you're using that for gas, you're using it for things that you would pay normally. I've got no problem with Costco card or a Sam's Club card. It's the department stores where you have to use it on that particular item. As far as doing a balance transfer or consolidating your credit cards, that's fine too. Again, you need, in your situation, it sounds like you're really managing your balances, so you're still going to be under the 10%. So you're going to be in good shape. I would not close the card that you're transferring from. Okay, I would just let it go dormant. If they want to close it, let them close it. But if they will increase your credit limit on the one, that's great. Again, the most important thing is keeping the balance at or below 10% of the credit limit. As far as and a lot of people will ask me about doing a consolidation loan. That's where it gets tricky. Is anytime you open up a new installment loan, and an installment loan is different than a credit card. An installment loan is going to be like a home mortgage, an auto loan, anything where you have a set number of payments at a set amount, for a set period of time. And, anytime you do that, it's going to drop your credit score for about a year. Once you've made, 5, 6 on-time payments, it'll start to have more of a positive impact, but you don't fully recover for a year. Okay. As far as doing a balance transfer, okay, again, this gets a little bit tricky because now you got to sit down and do the math to make sure that it makes sense to transfer a balance from one credit card to another. The reason for
Was that me or you got a phone call? I think you got a phone call. Let's keep the line. We try to get back. I'm waiting for it. It still haven't gotten to that one point I want.
Did you lose me?
Go ahead, David.
Okay, so doing that balance transfer, you just need to make sure that you're not paying more in interest in the balance transfer fee than what you're saving by moving it to a zero balance account, a 0% interest account. Now, if I understand correctly, you're just asking Capital One to increase your credit limit and consolidate your two cards. I'd need to know how long you've had each of the cards, because if you've had one of those cards for 10 years, you don't want to close that account because that's a long-standing account. You want to just let it sit. And if they want to close it because you're not using it, that's fine. But you don't want to close an old account like that.
Message, please respond if you are interested. Ryder CBS and NSPX is looking for a couple more drivers, Alan Jack Loden. You have a text message from Contracted Driver Services Inc. Here is the message: 2/3 card offloads to CBS stores. Work MFA is $20 per hour, and at 50 miles away there is a $20 fuel incentive per day worked. See, why would we go do something like that? Choose.
Okay. Hey, Deacon, you didn't come through at all. Don Juan, I don't know what happened with you, but okay. So thank you very much, David. It's the same car. I've had both of them 7 years, and because that was the part when I was rebuilding my credit. So I just wanted to ask that. So they're going to take both of those cards and join them together, have one card, better interest rate, and with the same both of that. So you had a 6 and you had a 7. So you have 13. You have 13 on your new balance available. That's would be the limit of the card. So thank you very much, David.
Yeah, I was trying to cut Deacon off, but I was going to ask David, what do he do? How can we get in touch with him, and what do he provide? And he provide that persistent. And I know he said something about Fort Bragg, Spring Lake, Fayetteville. I'm from Cumberland County, so yeah.
Come on back, David. Deacon, you dry firing.
All right, so back in the day, we called Fayetteville Vietnam, but I guess that's a different story from a few days ago. All right, what do we do here? We help people with their credit. We help dealing with third-party debt collectors, late payments, charge-offs, collections, state and federal tax liens, bankruptcies, foreclosures, repossessions, all that kind of stuff. How does it impact your credit score? How does it impact your ability to get the lending that you're looking for to move forward with life? We're going to help you manage that. We're going to help you get as much of that updated or deleted from your credit file as possible. We are going to go through your credit report with you at no charge to you. We want to spend time on financial literacy, make sure that you know what's going on and what your options are so that you can make an informed decision. Because of Toe Jam and the opportunity to work with you guys, we actually offer a special. So if you do decide to move forward with us, The fee that we charge is $97 a month. You don't pay anything up front. So your first payment is after you get started, after we've already gotten started, and you're not in a contract, so you cancel at any time. Everything that we do is, we've been helping people get into mortgages, get security clearances, raise their credit scores, and that's what we do. And you can see examples of where we do that by going to our Facebook page, Omega Credit Repair, by going to our website, omegacreditrepair.com. If you have questions, you can call me here at the office. It's on the website, 214-733-8336. There's a toll-free number on the website also, which is 888-99-OMEGA. And you can email me at David. All right, great question. The number one tip, tool, technique that I can give you is to find out what your report date is. That's your homework. And make your payment prior to your report date. Keep the balance at or below 10%, but above zero. That is the number one single biggest impact to your credit score. If you do not have a credit card, you need to get one, because if you do not have a credit card that is reporting to all three bureaus, and you got to check that because some of these credit cards will only report to two of the bureaus. You need to make sure it's reporting to all three bureaus. If you don't have that, you're missing about a third of your credit score. Okay, so that is probably the number one thing, is make sure that you have a credit card that is open, active, in good standing, that reports to all three bureaus. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they'll go to a bank and the banker will say, hey, you know what? Why don't you take out this, put some money into a CD. We'll lend you money against the CD. You'll have an installment loan and you can make the monthly payments on it, and that'll help your credit score. Bad idea, okay? Again, opening up a credit card does not negatively impact your credit score. Opening up an installment loan will have a negative impact on your score for 1 year, okay? Anytime you open up a new installment loan, that's going to drop your scores. So if you're going to have a second takeaway from this, it is, if you're going to open up an account to help improve your scores, it needs to be.
I hope we're taking notes just real quick. Again, I hope we're taking notes. This is some fire information. Anyone have any questions for David? We want to just run them through real quick. Let's try to stay away from our own personal situations, and just, we're looking for general questions as it pertains to credit, just in the interest of time, so we can let David get back to saving the world. He's a superhero over there.
Hey, what's going on, room? What's going on, Toe Jam? Hey, David, I got a quick question. I don't know if I just came in here, so I don't know if you answered this. Is business credit reported different than personal credit? Do they report to the same bureau or not?
So that's a great question. I did touch on that a little bit earlier, but let me try and explain it a little bit better. If your company has been around for 5-6 years and established credit, and you're on Dun & Bradstreet, and you can get those credit cards or lines of credit or loans into just strictly through the business, then it will not impact your personal credit score. If, however, you are new, if you're a young business, if when you go to apply for that credit card or installment loan or a truck loan or whatever, and they ask you to be a personal guarantor, okay, that means that you personally are guaranteeing the loan or the line of credit or the credit card. Yes, that will show up on your personal credit report.
And one more question. about that piggyback. Like, do y'all do that? You recommend that? Find somebody that have a line of credit. I don't know if you know what piggyback is, but have somebody have a line of credit. Do that really work?
All right, great question. So basically, what you're asking about is what's called an authorized user account, and an authorized user account is when let's say ToeJam has $100,000 credit line that he's had open for 25 years, and we all say, hey, you know what? Why don't you put me on as an authorized user so that I can take advantage of your good credit history? Okay. This used to have
Nah, that's a bomb question. Authorized users. Does that really work? I'm thinking he might have caught a phone call, but maybe we could squeeze one more question in there.
Okay, I'm sorry about that if you lost me. So, authorized user account used to be effective, but what happened is the bureaus found out that people were leasing out their credit histories. And so, if we said, hey, ToeJam's got a $100,000 credit line and he's had it for 25 years, I'll pay him, $1,500 if he'll add me to his credit line as an authorized user. So the bureau said, hey, that's not a great idea. So they changed the way an authorized user impacts your credit score. You are much better served to have your own credit line.
And anyone else? Any other questions? Let's run them back. Kids, at what age should we start giving the financial literacy to our children and getting them in position to, before they go off to college or go off to the military or whatever the situation may be? When they leave the house, they're leaving the house with, squeaky clean or, I don't know, Morris Chestnut for the ladies and Holly Berry for the men looking credit.
All right, so I'll tell you what I did with my kids. First of all, I never ever paid my kids an allowance. You got certain chores around the house that you got to do because you're a member of this family, and then I've got other stuff here. If you want to make some money, you can get paid to do these items. Okay, you don't work, you don't get paid. And I think that that's an important lesson to teach kids. As far as when did I start teaching them about credit? Well, with my kids, I started having that conversation at a young age. We talked about if you make money working for somebody, what's the tax implication? Are you giving money to your church or a charity, and why? When my kids were in middle school, they both got their own checking account and savings account. And actually, they already had a savings account that they would put, birthday money or money from doing odd jobs or whatever in. But in middle school, I got them a checking account. In high school, I put them on as an authorized user on one of my credit cards. That they needed to know that anything that happened on that credit card, they were responsible for. And so by letting them know that and being able to work with them, I was able to send my oldest off to college comfortable in the knowledge that he knew the impact of a credit card, and he knew how to manage that, how to manage his checking account, what happens if you overdraw your checking account, and all of those things. So yeah, those are, I definitely would start no later than middle school and increase the responsibility as time goes by, so that they understand that how money works.
Hi, David. Kelly here. There's a member that's in a bad area, but she had a question. If the companies aren't reporting your credit, are we able to do it ourselves? And my question is, what can we do now while our kids are still in school to set them up as far as business credit?
Awesome, Kelly. So as far as what can you do now to help your kids with business credit, that's a hard question because, for example, my youngest son started his own DJ business about 6 months ago. He just turned 17. He was 16 at the time, and there wasn't a bank around anywhere who would even let him open up a business checking account. So even though he had a DBA, he had all of his own, his website, his social media, all of his own equipment. They would not allow him, because he was under 18. They wouldn't allow him to even open up a business checking account. That doesn't mean that we don't help him. He has to understand, okay, so I'm responsible for payroll taxes on myself. I'm responsible for whatever other taxes and such as that. How do we manage that? How do we manage, he also has his own credit card, so if he has to rent equipment for a gig, or if he needs to put down a deposit somewhere, he can use that credit card, but then that needs to be paid out of the income that he gets from that particular gig. So having those conversations with your kids and making sure that they understand, how that works is extremely important. And I think I missed your first question. If you could repeat that for me, Kelly, I'd appreciate it.
First question was, if the credit companies are not reporting our credit, are we able to do that ourselves?
Okay, yeah, as soon as you started talking, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. I apologize for that. So are you able to report it yourself? No. Unfortunately, you're not. In order to report to the bureaus, you have to be a subscriber, and it obviously being a subscriber means that you pay a fee to the three bureaus. There's no rule that says any company that is lending has to report to the bureaus. So sometimes if you go to a tote the note or buy here, pay here kind of place, they may or may not report to the bureaus. They may choose to only report to one. Typically, Experian is the most widely used of the three, but if the place where you made the purchase is not choosing to report to the bureaus, unfortunately, there's not a lot you can do about that. Now, I just read an article yesterday, and this has been a long time in coming, because about 6 months ago, Experian started talking about, well, you know what? There's situations where people aren't getting credit for their utility bills or their rent payment or whatever. So if people just give us access to their checking accounts, we will go ahead and go through and take those regular normal payments and give them credit for it on their credit report. Do not do this, okay? Let me be as clear as possible, okay? It is not worth any potential increase in your credit score to let Experian have access to your checking account so that they can see how much money you're making and where you're spending your money. Okay? They are looking at this as a data dive to where people will voluntarily give them full access to their checking account in the hopes of raising their credit score. And what it's done is it's allowed the credit bureau to now take all the information that they glean from your checking account and sell your information to 100 different companies to market to you for things that you may want or need. And so do not do that. It is not worth any potential upside. If the company that you buy from does not report, there's not a lot that we can do about that. Actually, there's nothing that we can do about that except in the future make sure that the company that we're buying for does report to the three bureaus.
And let me ask you one more question. I know this shit might be, but just say, like, if I have my dealer license, can I be set up to report to the bureau's credit? You understand what I'm saying? Since we have our own business, can we be set up and pay the fee? And if the fee is real expensive, pay the fee so we can report pertains to the credit bureau?
All right, so to answer that question, in order to report to the bureaus, you have to be either a lender or a debt collector. Okay, that's really, if you're not a lender or a debt collector, you're not going to be able to get set up with the bureaus to report.
Bam, I'm watching the clock. We're at 10:52. I know David promised me 30 minutes, and he's been super gracious with his time. But I want to be mindful that we're almost at an hour. Obviously, I'm not trying to get rid of David. I just don't want him to. I don't want to take advantage of his time. So, if we got any other questions, let's run them back real quick.
So, hey, no one's piping in with a question. So let me just say, consumer credit and this whole deal, it can be confusing. And obviously, I can talk about it forever. This is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And my team has been working with me for a long time. And everyone here is very knowledgeable. And so we're more than happy to answer any questions, help you out. Feel free to reach out to me by giving us a call here at the office, or shooting me an email, even messaging me on Facebook. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. And if y'all want me to come back, I'd be more than happy to come back and talk to you again, answer more questions, whatever y'all need. I'm here for you.
Yeah, we definitely want you. Definitely, for sure, want you to come back, and we can talk about that later, facilitate that. Mel, for Sovereign Rose, for all those who are interested in securing David's services, he's offering to waive the initial get started fee, and it would just be $97 a month, no contract. You can cancel at any time to put David to work to work for you. I would personally encourage everyone to get on this credit today, not tomorrow. We're walking around here with bad credit. The only analogy that comes to me right now is, it's when you're walking on these car lots or these truck lots, it's the equivalent of your first day on the sale block. You're fresh meat, and they're gonna prey on you. They're gonna take advantage of you.
I did, if you scroll up in the feed in the glass, I did post all of David's information. And it's also on the Facebook event page in the comments.
Hey, David, appreciate you coming by, sir. It's Big C again. Appreciate you. Hey, we wish you all the luck.
Thanks to everyone. Kelly, thanks for posting that. Big C, I appreciate your questions. Hey, if any of y'all have any questions about your specific situation, your particular situation, and you just didn't want to blast it over the air to everyone who was listening, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd be more than happy to help you out.
Yeah, so anybody with a 650 or below, no, I'm gonna raise the bar. Anyone that has a 700 or less credit score should be calling David. At least getting some help with, getting a quick bump or a quick hit strategy to bump it somewhat. But yeah, 700 or below, you should be definitely calling David. And I'm gonna be asking him, if you called him, Travel 56, JB, Big C, Miss Mel, yeah, let's get this done.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Big Dave. That was awesome.
Yeah, David, I'll give you a call shortly. I got a couple of things to take care of, but yeah, I'll definitely give you a call.
Outstanding. Well, I appreciate y'all, and I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. But I hope that I gave y'all some useful information, and I look forward to talking to y'all in the future.
Prime David was on, and appreciate you. On behalf of Sovereign Rose, appreciate all y'all that came in, man. Awesome time. Yeah. Sorry, Mel could be in good reach there. But yeah, good job, Toe Jam, Kelly Cal, putting that together. Good job, y'all.
Hey, I got a question for you though, Slow Jam. What do you do when you got good credit? Like right now, you know, my score's 7+. So what do? I don't need them, do I? For what?
It's all in the details. It's all in the details. Yeah, I would say no, just off of, the 700+, but there may be a couple line items that you might want to get looked at, or trade lines that you might want to get looked at getting removed to bump it up, because FICO just went up to a higher top score. So a 700 right now is pretty much just average credit. There's not a whole lot that you can't do with a 700, but if you want better interest rates, you want to start looking at pushing that girl up to a 800. And then, I know you got kids, fam, and you got two of them that's of age, 18, 19. So, why not start with them? Let's get them, in position to where they're able to make some moves, get them that financial literacy. I love what he said, man. I think he coined the phrase of the day, walk before you run, and I'm going to add, you got to crawl before you walk. So you got to get the information. You just can't jump out there, because this credit is real strategic, and you got to know what moves to make and how to make them, and what products to get to benefit your credit score if you're trying to bump your score.
All right, yeah, you could not have said that better. At a 700 credit score, you may not need us at all, but if you're looking to make a major purchase, it costs you absolutely nothing to have me walk through your credit report with you to make sure that you're maximizing every single opportunity to get that credit score as high as possible, as quickly as possible. And of course, we're not going to charge you for that kind of resource.
I get you, Big Dave. My strategy of what I did was I basically got in contact, got all my scores and everything that I owed or what was on negative on my credit, and I basically paid it off. Yes, my credit score had dropped, but with my credit cards, I was using them and paying them on time. And like you said, that date that they reported, that's what counts. That's the only thing that counts. So everything was always in line, and that's how I got my score up there in that time frame.
Yeah, man, I need some drops on my phone. Like, I just want to put a 50 cal drop on my phone. Like, that is bomb, Luck. That's super bomb. And I think I've been with you pretty much the whole way. And yeah, I know the struggle that you've been through as far as the credit and getting that credit up to par. So yeah, you winning right now. But also, for your significant others, it don't make sense for one of y'all holding all the credit and the other one not having no credit. So let's think about that too. You know what I mean? One of the biggest causes of divorce is financial. You know what I mean? A lady told me a couple of days ago, like, if I'm with a dude with some money and he cheats on me, you know what I mean, I might be able to, or not so much rich, but just financially stable. If he cheats on me, I might be able to let that go. But if we got financial issues and he's cheating, you know what I mean, that's a deal breaker for me.
So I don't mean to break up what you're talking about, that cheating stuff. Well, for anybody in the room that don't know, it was Toe Jam. I wouldn't say he was talking to me about it. He beat me in my head. I'm talking about the dude kept knocking me in my head with this hammer and chisel. Luck, do this. Luck, do that. Luck, do this. Luck, do that. I go to sleep and I kept hearing his voice. I wake up in the morning, I look in the mirror, there go Toe Jam in the purple suit. So I did what he said to do, and plus did some research and made my own moves and came with my own strategy. And I'm going to tell y'all like this. Yeah, go ahead, pay it all off. Get a credit card or two. Use them, pay them. Due date, The date when they report it, make sure it's on point. Make sure it's on point. You'll see a credit score jump outstandingly. I mean, it will rise. You wouldn't believe it. I had a 549 credit score, and over the case of 6 to 8 months, jumped up to 7. No, I'm lying. Something like that. I don't remember.
Toe jams in your head, man. That's called a nightmare.
Yeah. But yeah, and if I could just piggyback on some of the things he said as far as the difference between a low score and a high score. You know, when you're using these credit cards strategically, you know, you're accumulating these points and cash back offers and things of that nature. A lot of times you can get, you know, you'll get bumped, you know, instead of staying at the Super 8, you get a room at the Four Seasons, or there'll be times where you can get some of these rooms for free, or the Ritz-Carlton, or, you know, whatever, or you can get these rooms for free, or instead of staying on the second floor, you may get the penthouse. You can travel for free. Chase has got a bomb product right now, but you got to have good credit, where, you know, they double or triple your air miles. So whatever you charge on that card, you get 4 times or 3 times or 2 times the air miles. So by the time, you know, over a year, you're using this credit card regularly, you're ready to fly out and see your grandbabies or see your cousins out of town. You can do it for free.
Absolutely, he's not lying. I flew first class, and I ain't go nowhere. I went and got a plane ticket, and all of a sudden I know they said, "Oh, hold on, no, you will be flying first class." Yes, I was eating peanuts and sipping champagne and all that good stuff in first class. First on the plane and first off. Yes, Caesar, he ain't lying.
Yeah, man, that's that Chase Southwest, baby. That's that Chase Southwest right there. Yeah, I'm like you, Doc. I still don't want to get no doggone first class. Leave it alone, man. You know, but the yeah. You know, best thing that ever happened. And those of you that haven't bought property yet, make sure that you attack this before you try to get your property. Please do. I mean, that's why mine's right now is at a 2.5. All right, it's unheard of, but I got it. And I'm every time I look at my statement, I look at that 2.5. It's not an adjustable, it's a fix. And yeah, man. Take care of it, guys. And what he did not say, what he'll probably talk to you, those of you that got anything bad on your credit, right? This is what we had to do, right? Because I have a friend that does what he does. But it's just a point, the negotiation power. If you owe $900 on an old phone bill, let's just say an old phone bill, take that $900. You say, look, if we call them directly, get it deleted. They're going to say it's against the law for us to delete it. Well, it's against the law for me to pay you, too. So I ain't going to have to pay you. Well, Mr. Coleman's going to stay on your credit. Well, sir, been on here that long. I ain't too much worried about it. So I did that, man. I can't even tell you the stuff I had to leave off my account.
Yeah, I forgot to tell y'all. Matter of fact, Big C I thought that's what he's going to touch on when he said that. What I did was, a lot of the stuff that I was negative on, I called direct. Let's say I owed $1,500. I told him, listen, man, I can only pay you like $250 off that $1,500. If I pay that, would you take it off my credit report? They said, yeah. If you call them and tell them what you can pay, they will negotiate with you. That's what I thought Big C was going to tell you.
But make sure, hey, Ducky, thanks, man. I started laughing too much and let go of the button. But yeah, that's exactly it. At $900 I owed, I was able to negotiate. Look, man, it's been on here for doggone for up 10 years or whatever. Look, it's been there, been sitting there. You probably gonna sell it to the next guy here coming up here shortly. So why don't we do this? Why don't I go ahead and give you 600? Okay, I give you 600 at 9. That's what I can afford to give you. Send me the letter by email saying you will delete it, and you'll get it deleted if I, you know, when I put the receipt in with it. And so they said, well, just send us that and we'll do it. So sure enough, they sent me the letter. I called them right back up. I paid it, and they deleted it. It was gone. Letter of deletion, done. But yeah.
Another thing, for anybody listening, if you're trying to get good credit and all that, you can get with the credit union. Hey, man, you can get with Navy Federal, bruh. If you know someone that's in the military and they willing to add you on, woo, 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 woo. You know how Martin Lawrence say, woo, 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 woo. Yeah, baby. You in the bank, baby.
Pentagon Credit Union is doing some serious stuff, man. Pentagon Credit Union. Yeah, that's what one of mine are. Yeah. And people that need to get Wells Fargo is always offering to do a secured loan. They offered that to me when I first started my business account with them. And, when I'm doing my payroll, I always see it coming up. So I just thought I'd touch on that too. They can get you one, hold it for a year, and then give you a new one. So those that got a card that's in bad, that's a high interest, that's always a good possibility. Just put your money.
Sorry about that, Big C.
Yeah, come on back, see. Finish your thought, fan.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You okay, G man? Just notice the fact that you get, Wells Fargo is offering that. Pentagon Credit Union is also offering that. If you got a business, you want to get that done. When I first started my business, I dropped five large on, and within a year they sent me a credit card. And I think that's one of the main reasons I was able to get me a nice get my first Costco, get that Costco business card. So now I get 6% off. I get 6% off of everything that when on my fuel I get 6% back. So that's going to more than enough to take care of my membership and all of my traveling arrangements on my trips are going through that as well. So I'm getting 3% back on that. So the money I'm gonna get back on, put money back in my pocket and take care of my credit. So yeah, just remember that if you got a high interest rate, yeah, you want to get rid of it, just go and pay this doggone secure credit card, man. It's your money anyway.
Yeah, I have. I'm at 717. By the way, I woke up about halfway through. Just came in this morning, laid down, but what I did here was good. Good job, all the people who put this together. I don't know if it was said, but if you want to check your credit score, what is the best way to do that? Right now, I'm using Credit Karma. It doesn't seem to hurt me, but did he say anything about that? If so, what it was? I'm at 77 Credit Union, and I've had a lot of success there, and that's a lot to do with the advice I got from Toe Jam. I've told Toe Jam about that, but I'll say it again. I appreciate it. Thank you, Toe Jam. Got a secured card, and like Big C said, about 6 months later, they were offering me one of their credit cards and a line of credit. And so I went with it, and it worked well. But if you want to check on your credit score, did he say what was the best way to do that?
Yeah, nah, he didn't. But if I could touch on that, and I thank you for the flowers, brother G man. That means a lot to me. But hear that coming from you. The Credit Karma is nice. It gives you a good general idea, but it's going to be off the score. Don't pay any attention to that score. Only thing that Credit Karma is good for is just knowing what's on your TransUnion and your Equifax. If you want to check your credit score the right way, you need a tri-merge credit report. That typically give you all three scores and your FICO. That costs about $40. You have to go to a lender to get that, typically like a mortgage lender, so you can get that score. Or all of the bureaus have products. You can get your free initial credit score. They charge anywhere, I think $7, or I think there's one where you can get all three for $14 a month, what have you. But what you do is you just get your score, get your credit report, and then cancel. You know what I mean? Tell them to cancel. They're going to try to talk you down, but just cancel. Or Miss Mel, she has a product called NAV. NAV will give you your business, your personal credit reports and credit scores. That's pretty accurate. But any of those will help you be able to get that credit report.
I was just gonna say that you hit it right on nail, Toe Jam. Like when I was about to purchase my home, the lender or the mortgage people, they will tell you exactly where you at and where you need to be in order to be approved for the loan. So, like in my case, I was just a couple points off, and they told me go ahead and do this and do that and pay that, and boom, did it like that. And there I was approved for $200,000-$300,000, like nothing. So yeah, that's another way of getting your score and how to boost it up. It's as if you're purchasing like property, like you said.
Before I forget, just real quick, all of this information is bomb stuff. But before, I would suggest before you get into, getting credit cards and all of that, that Big C has suggested, or Lucky has suggested, or even G-Man has suggested, or even David Dishman has suggested, I would encourage everyone to pull up the Fair Credit Act on Google or on Safari or online or what have you, and read it. Not read it for entertainment, but read it to digest it. That is the rules that protect us against the credit bureaus and the people that loan money. So you need to know how to negotiate or how to navigate around when you answer the phone and it's a debt collector, you need to know by what rules that they are held to. And it's not real long, it's real it's not even a whole lot to digest or to memorize, but you need to know it. If the bank calls you and says that you owe them money and they want it now, you want to know exactly what rules that they got to follow when they're making this phone call. There has been times in my life or in my family's life when these debt collectors make moves that are outside of the boundaries. And what happens is if you catch them on them hiccups and you can hold them accountable, you can get a nice, you can get a little check out of them. But you got to know what those rules are.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, y'all. I just got back in the truck. See, I was still talking. But anyway, also, just understand that, somebody like David is what helped me out and gave me a lip for it. You know what I'm saying? And I try to stay up on it. You're going to fall short sometimes, but these days you really can't. My biggest problem I'm going through right now, and I don't mind saying the biggest thing I got to deal with right now is because I don't have 2 years of solid income, and trying to learn how to balance that with what I make and everything with my company, because your business got to be in. Oh, too short. It's got to be in for a certain amount of time, and I'm not showing a good solid 2 years of good income. So that's going to be my downfall right there. That's the one thing that we're having a problem looking at with this commercial property that we're looking at. I'm going in with a partner of mine to go get. And so we're going. That's what one of my big goals is this year, is to make it happen.
Yeah, that's a real bomb point. Most scenarios, they want you to have 2+ year of reporting credit or business credit. When David was talking about you're generally going to have to PG on everything until your business matures to a certain age. That is true, definitely true. But there are, again, this is strategic, the business side and the personal side. There are products that you can get that gets to start the reporting, or there are credit cards. Once you get to a certain phase, there are credit cards that will allow you to make those type of moves. And as I've stated in here before, typically the business credit cards, the balances are a lot larger than the personal credit cards, but it's a process. You just don't start a business and call Wells Fargo or Bank of America and ask them for a business credit card. It's a whole process that you got to go through, and you got to start from the beginning with your net 30s. Make sure that everything is structured properly. Making sure that you can be found easily to these creditors when they screening your application, your credit applications, and then starting off with the net 30s, and then getting so many of those reporting and tackling the store cards, and then getting so many of those reporting, paying them down, paying them on time, et cetera, and then you're looking at hitting the credit cards. And shoot, whatever that business property is, I'll just use easy numbers. If your buy-in to that business property is $10, Big C, yeah, I mean, you might, because the utilization on your credit cards, because you did everything right, the stuff that I just talked about, you got credit cards with $10 balance on them. You can, that's in the name of Linux Transportation. You can square that $10 off of that card. Use your Square reader, and 3-4 days that $10 will be in your account, and get that business property.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. We this is kind of something that I wasn't prepared for. It jumped into my lap, and hopefully people that are listening will be prepared when it comes around to their time. Right now, and I mean, we're still in the development stage with all of that, things we want to do of allowing some truck parking out here in Riverside. These are things we want to do. So we're trying, man. But, and we've got our eyes on a couple of properties out here. We got our eyes on a couple of properties, so we're kind of putting a deadline for it this year. So yeah, what's up, sir?
Tenfold. That's what I like to hear, man. Folks trying to make some moves or making moves. Yeah. And that should be everybody. All of us in here, we out here grinding. We making moves for somebody else. We putting rules over somebody else's house. We putting somebody else's kids through college, and we may not be doing the same thing for ourselves. So it's time to get busy. And I ain't saying quit your job. I'm saying, stop living off of what you make, and make sure you're making some strategic moves with the money that's left over. Just don't have that money sitting in a savings account. Do something with it to where it's making money. Let your money work harder than what you working. And, but like David said, you got to walk before you run, and as I say, you got to crawl before you walk. So let's get it. It's a new year, 2019, man. Let's make these moves. My phone is hot. It's always hot, but I need it to be even hotter. So if you can't get a hold of David, or you don't feel comfortable talking to David and you feel more comfortable talking to me, man, let's make some moves. Let's get it this year. I'm here. I'm available.
Hey, Toe Jam, I'm going to tell you, last year was the best year I've ever had. Okay? I didn't hit the 300 mark, but it's the best year I ever had. I'm going to tell you something. Where all that money go? You feel me? Where'd it go, Doc? I'm sitting back looking at it, and me and my wife just looked at it. When we got 1098, we looking at it, we're going like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah. Now, we know we took that percentage out and all that, okay. But still, it was the best year I've had since I've been on my own. And that's what made one of the buckle downs. That's what made one of the buckle downs to happen this year, man. Everything that is not tied in with me getting off of this truck. When I say I'm getting off this truck, people, I'm getting off this truck. You know what I'm saying? Man, I don't even know how to. We all grown, man. All I can say is, please be a little bit more attentive. Don't make the mistakes I made. It was pretty bad when my son understands credit more than me, and I'm the one explaining it to him. You know what I'm saying? Here he is already buying his second house, and I'm trying to buy my second house and buy a doggone commercial property. So, it's a lot of things, man. Just never feel like you know everything. Never.
Big C, get out my head, man. Stay out my head, bro.